Hey guys, welcome back to DC Action. My name is Chris. Today we're going to be breaking down episode 3 of season 3 of Stargirl. As always, before getting into the breakdown, make sure you've seen this episode as there are going to be some spoilers ahead. We open this episode on Sylvester, who attempts to acclimate to life in Blue Valley. Yolanda asks him what Ted Grant would have thought of her as Wildcat, and he says that he would have liked her, giving her a sense of comfort. Sylvester asks what to do in Blue Valley, and Yolanda suggests getting a job. Before cutting to the next scene, we see Cameron's grandparents watching in on him from the window. Courtney attempts to strategize over the gambler's murder at breakfast, but they get interrupted by the Crocs, who offer up a healthier breakfast alternative to their waffles. After Beth talks to her parents about the gambler, her and Rick share a conversation about how his uncle left after Rick beat him up after mistaking him for Solomon Grundy. However, this is cut short when Beth gets information that the gambler was blackmailing someone, the source of this coming from Cindy on the gambler's laptop. However, Beth is unaware of this as of now. Cindy attempts to gain access to another file on the laptop, but continuously fails to do so, as she doesn't know the password. Courtney is upset about how the gambler lied about reforming, and after she attempts to talk to Cameron, but that goes horribly to say the least. Paula visits Barbara again looking for some help, but they are cut short when one of her colleagues walks in and gives her a bit of trouble. Sylvester has troubles in finding a job and begins to think that he's a lost cause. Pat encourages him to keep trying. Then, just before the scene ends, we see the camera focus in on an ad in the newspaper for Larry Croc's gym. The JSA kids find out that the gambler was blackmailing the Crocs, which may be the reason they supposedly murdered him. They agree to keep this information hidden from Sylvester until they get guidance from Pat. Cameron and Rick get into a little argument after Cameron disrespects one of his teachers. The two threaten each other before Cameron eventually leaves. Cameron then uses his ice powers to puncture a hole in Rick's tire. Cindy informs Sylvester on Gambler's blackmailing and asks for his help. However, he turns it down in a rather vicious manner. Starman then goes after the Crocs, but not before Mike sees him leave. In a local grocery store, we see the Crocs shopping. However, they are interrupted by Sylvester, who confronts them about the gambler. They deny it, but of course they inevitably get into a fight. The JSA meet to discuss their options with the Crocs, but before doing so they find out Sylvester has beat them to it. Back at the fight between Sylvester and the Crocs, Sylvester has them beat and doesn't look like he's going to back down. Luckily for the Crocs, Pat interrupts them and stops Sylvester from going too far. The Crocs claim that while the gambler was blackmailing them, they did not murder him, and in fact they were paying him off to keep out of prison. It is also said that the gambler paid back all the money he extorted out of the Crocs. Larry says that he visited the gambler before he was murdered, but left before confronting him, as we saw in last episode. While the Crocs are still in the Dugan's house, Sylvester comes home and he gets a little bit angry. Pat stands up for himself after being yelled at and called a sidekick again. He mentions Courtney's father and the events surrounding him from last season. Pat says that Sylvester must be a father figure to Courtney and a good example to all the kids. Cindy provides a reason as to why she went behind the backs of the other JSA members to inform Sylvester of the Crocs' potential crimes. Courtney then proceeds to stand up to Cindy here and states that if she screws up again, she will be off their team, to which Yolanda seems a bit smug about. Barbara supports Paula at a local event after she mentioned it earlier in the episode. Cameron apologizes to Courtney for how he acted earlier. He tells her that while something is bothering him, he doesn't want to talk about it. Back at the Dugan household, Pat plans to investigate the gambler's murder more, but he decides against using the staff here due to his arrangement with Courtney. Cameron and Courtney take a walk together. However, this gets cut short when Cameron bails. Paula confronts Barbara's work colleague about being more respectful towards her, and basically threatens him in the process. We see a series of monitors on which the various locations throughout Blue Valley can be seen, specifically centered around the JSA members. Looking at these monitors is a mysterious figure that makes a low grunting noise and tense hands when clenching their fists. Pat makes Sylvester a new suit, however he's unable to use it, as while investigating the gambler's trailer, he gets a little bit too close to the mystery at hand and gets pulled into the air and heavily beat up, blood coming out of his eyes and mouth, as though he had been poisoned by something. The being responsible for inflicting this damage is presumably the same as to who was overlooking the monitors earlier, signified by the low grunting sounds once again. Now, that is the end of the episode, and I just want to give my theories as to what's going to come next. And as a fair warning, I am basing these theories off things I have heard as rumours as to who the villain is going to be, so if you don't want to know, click off now. Alright, now that everyone here is okay with a little bit of spoilers, I believe that this mysterious figure is Mr. Bones. If you don't know who Mr. Bones is, he's a character from the DC Comics who is, well, made of bones as the name suggests, but he also has a bit of a poisonous touch, so whenever anyone else touches his bones, they will be poisoned and it'll be quite lethal to them. We also got Mr. Bones teased at the very end of last season, so this is what suggests that this is going to be the villain. And as for the mysterious figure overlooking the monitors, that suggests it's Mr. Bones due to the gloves he was wearing, as Mr. Bones often wears gloves to prevent him from poisoning anyone who he doesn't want to. And also the way the fist clenched up sounds like it might be bones rather than flesh in those gloves. Mr. Bones is presumably responsible for the gambler's murder. However, the way in which he was murdered makes it look otherwise, but I think this could just be a bit of a diversion. But anyway, that is it for this video, so I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content like this. And in order to stay up to date on everything DC and more, be sure to check out my Twitter account. But until next time, this has been Chris, and I'll be seeing ya.